Dr. Aphra saves the Emperor, plus we have Chewie and Leia having that hug after Han's death finally, and we have the origin story of Rose Tico on this week's episode of Star Wars Weekly. Hello fellow Star Wars fans and welcome back to the channel. It is another episode of Star Wars Weekly where I break down the latest in Star Wars continuity such as the comics, novels, TV series, and more. This week we have 3 Marvel comics to talk about. The first one is the closing of a story arc in Dr. Aphra. This is issue number 36. This is part 5 of the Unspeakable Rebel Superweapon. So last we heard the very last page of the previous issue, we have this person called Voor, who is the head of the propaganda in the Empire. She is pledging to Dr. Aphra that she wants to kill Emperor Palpatine. And well, we pick up in this issue and we figure out why she is doing that. We figure out her backstory. She spills the beans to Dr. Aphra and says, hey, look, the Emperor is just going too bloodthirsty, killing too many people. The way I think I can do things is make it a lot less blood shedding going on. So she has this whole plan with the rifle that Aphra gets, which is this ancient Jedi technology, which is really cool. It shoots this lightsaber beam out, and the rebels were planning on using that as a secret weapon to basically snipe the Emperor in his throne room on Coruscant. And, well, now that they have the weapon again, because Dr. Aphra brought it to them, she is thinking of using that against the Emperor. But then her plan backfires when Dr. Aphra announces her alternative. The whole time she was filming all of this, it was going out to whoever in the galaxy, and basically the Emperor caught her red-handed when she did that. Vors, this Imperial character. And well, guess who shows up at the end? None other than Darth Vader to finish off this person and finally come face to face with Dr. Aphra, who he expected to be dead for several, I guess, years at this point. So getting into the greatness of this episode, or this issue, because every issue is just so good, just consistent. This is the most consistent Star Wars series ever, I think. First off, is just getting into the mindset of Wars and the different mindsets of Imperials in Star Wars. I really like to dive deep into these characters, figure out that they're not all these mindless drones. There's characters that have their self-motivations, as we see after the events of the destruction of the second Death Star. Lots of Imperial moths and stuff kind of fight each other and have their own agenda. So it's cool seeing another well fleshed out character in the character of Wars. I do like how Dr. Aphra gives into love, and she really gets into a deeper part. We get into a deeper part of her character, and she continues to be fleshed out and one of the most layered characters in all of Star Wars. You really cannot predict her, and that's the whole crux of this issue, was her unpredictability. She can't really be judged. Nobody really could tell what she's going to do next. There was huge plot twists in this issue. We find out that the actual killer of her mother was actually put up to it by this Vors character, and that is why Aphra basically turned on her and intents saved the Emperor by, having this plan of Vors put out to the HoloNet. There we go. So yeah, she was basically behind this Vors character, set things up so where she would have her own stormtroopers disguised as like raiders at a planet. They would do damage, then they would call in the stormtroopers as if this was all planned, and the people would be very thankful to the Empire, and that's how they would get inhabitants of the Empire's forces on these planets, because they would set the whole thing up basically. And this was all a revenge on Dr. Aphra to have this plan blown out from under her and have these holocameras there. So it's very interesting that the entire premise of this 5-issue arc was about the superweapon. The superweapon really never existed in the first place. It was all a ploy. The rebels were kind of planning on Aphra actually delivering it to the Emperor, and they had a little bomb that was like an ion bomb that would basically knock all of them out unconscious, and the rebels would go in and take over Coruscant, which was a very far-fetched plan when you think about it, because there's so many Imperial forces on there, as that is the central part of the entire Empire. So overall, this was a phenomenal issue. Again, there's just so much plot packed into these issues that it really does feel like it's 2 or 3 issues sometimes. And this leads me to expect, there's a couple other people out there, Comics with Kenobi, if you guys definitely give them a listen to on the podcast. they predict that, the final run of Dr. Aphra issues will begin with this final arc. So solicits are coming out that'll tell us if December might be the last issue of Dr. Aphra. It could be. We will see, but I want to hear what you guys have to say all about this issue down in the comment section below. And moving on to our sequel trilogy content with the Age of Resistance series, I want to talk about first, this is Rey. So her story is called Alone. And this story is all about basically that time gap between where we see Rey leave the base of the car and where she ends up on Ach-To meeting Luke. So there is a little bit of an adventure that sets place in between there. So we first pick up in this issue, it's with Rey, and she has this nice heart-to-heart conversation with Leia and about how she feels alone. And Leia really does cheer her spirits up, and they get into this great story about Rey telling Leia exactly what happens to Han. So that is Leia's first-hand knowledge of exactly what goes on between Ben Solo and Han Solo. It's through the speech of Rey, and they're able to connect on such a great level that we didn't see. This feels very much like a deleted scene from The Force Awakens. From there, Rey is tasked with going to find Luke, and she takes Chewie and R2 with them. And soon after they leave the car, they have some engine trouble. They go to the nearest planet, which is called Necropolis, and there's this Arachne-type alien that says they have to pay him 500 credits. When they do that, they are able to scavenge all these starships from throughout the galaxy to find this part that they need, but it's all a hoax. The entire time this alien was doing this, pulling people out of hyperspace and having all the ships crash to basically make a bunch of money. So Rey, in turn, tricks this alien, and she gets the part she needs, gets out of there, and ends up on Ach-To. And that is the story in a nutshell. So first off, the very first frame of this issue is awesome because it's Chewbacca hugging Leia. Like, that is something that blatantly didn't happen in The Force Awakens. If you watch it, it was kind of a big thing going around at the time of the movie coming out. So, you have Chewie just walking right past Leia. So they address that. Tom Taylor addresses that, the writer. Very first panel, we see them hugging. So that's very, very nice to see. Also, I just think that the Necropolis as a planet name is just really kind of dumb. It seems just like... It just seems very generic. It doesn't seem Star Wars enough, and the fact that this arachnid is there, I didn't really like this plot line at all. Like, once she got onto this planet with this junk planet, that's when things kind of fell apart for me. Although I thought it was really cool that she was able to use the Jedi mind trick, and about her flying in a Slave One-esque ship to blast out of this place, fire spray patrol type model, and seeing all the ships that were on this wreckage. There was like a Star Destroyer or an Old Republic, not an Old Republic, a Clone Wars different kind of ship, and the alien design was pretty cool. Kind of reminded me a lot of Lady Proxima from Solo. But overall, this story just tells the story of Rey and how she feels like she belongs with the Resistance. By the time she gets to Luke, she really feels like she has something to achieve, something to live for, something to fight for. So that's what we get from this story about Rey. And moving to the last issue, we have Star Wars Age of Resistance, Rose Tico. This story is basically the origin story of Rose Tico and her sister Paige Tico. So it's all about them on Hyze Minor in the Automoc system, and they are growing up. It's this mineral type world. Her two parents are helping them along. They're having fun in these simulators, flying a Z-95 headhunters. You have Rose very early on in life, very obsessed with mechanics, as we see her eventually grow to become a mechanic in the Resistance, and her sister, of course, is a great pilot. So they're always doing everything together. They're inseparable. Several years later, the First Order come to their planet, and using the bombers are just like the Resistance type bombers are just wrecking the planet, trying to get all the ore they can. And, well, they want to make a stand. They can't see their home being destroyed by the First Order after all these years of peace. So their parents literally send them away to the Resistance, and when they get there, they find out later on that the planet that they used to live on, Hyze Minor, has been mined to the point where it's pretty much destroyed. So Rose feels so much anger and so much anguish that she wants to just thrash out. Her and Paige want to just go against the First Order and take them out. But they have a heart-to-heart conversation with Leia Organa, which is amazing. I really love this conversation, guys, because it is Leia getting on the same level as Rose and Paige and saying, I've been through this experience with you guys. My planet Alderaan was destroyed. I know how it feels, but think about it. If you guys were to go out there, you'd get killed. Nothing would happen. Rather than you can be a thorn in their side for a lot longer, make them more annoyed if you just rein in your feelings and stick with us and stick with the resistance and fight and fight and fight. And the entire time of this issue, it is being narrated, and the entire time I figured it was Rose talking about Paige, and in fact it is the other way around, and Paige says and states that Rose is her hero. And that really kind of hit me in the feels. Like, oh man, if you guys have read Cobalt Squadron, which I highly recommend, it is another backstory for Rose and Paige and what they do in the Resistance with their Cobalt Squadron, and it really just piggybacks off that. I think they do a great job of integrating the whole feel between the relationship, because we don't see that relationship a whole lot, or actually, if any, in The Last Jedi. We just see the reaction to what Rose has when she finds out her sister unfortunately perished in the battle above Dakar. But overall, I really enjoyed this issue. I haven't really been a huge fan of Rose Tico, but I'll tell you, the storytelling in this issue makes this maybe one of the best Age of stories that we got out of this entire maxi series, with Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, and Age of Resistance. This is definitely one of the better issues, and I really enjoyed it. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything that came out this week. Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. So next week might potentially be the biggest comic week in Star Wars, as we might have up to 4 Star Wars coming out. We have Target Vader issue number 3, Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple issue number 2, Age of Resistance Kylo Ren number 1, as well as maybe Star Wars Adventures issue number 26. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. I talk about Star Wars a heck of a lot. I just recently uploaded a video of my unboxing, and you can see it in the background there, of my hyper real Darth Vader figure from Hasbro. I absolutely love this thing, so check out what all the fuss is about in that video right over there. So thanks for watching, guys, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.